Tonight's essay will be called The Happiness Consultants, and it's a brilliant essay by Chris Hedges. And if you see my hair flying around here, it's not for special effects. I have about 100 degrees here in my apartment, and I have the fan on full blast, thank goodness. It's not cooling things off, but it keeps things bearable, I guess. Anyway, here goes the essay, and I can't read it in its entirety, and as usual I will post a link. So here it goes. Anthony Vasquez worked at FedEx Kinko's for about 2 years. His store's slogan was, "Yes, we can." It meant that if a customer asked us to do a job for them, no matter what it was, we were to say, "Yes, we can." Corporate auditors enforced the slogan, "Yes, we can," called audits. Employees would be punished as a group for failures, and individuals could be fired. Employees' other slogans were, "Winning by engaging the hearts and minds of every team member." Vasquez worked with a trainee named Sam until Sam was fired. The store managers didn't announce this dismissal. They kept Sam on the schedule to make it appear as if he was skipping work, and then used this as a grounds for his dismissal. After 2 weeks and some conversations with Sam, Vasquez wrote "fired" in pencil under Sam's name on the schedule in the lunchroom. It was at this point that Vasquez got a taste of the ideology of modern corporate management, which uses therapeutic forms of social control and call for group harmony to impose rigid conformity. It must have been in 2006. The company was holding another mandatory meeting for team members, which is what they call us, he said. I went with a couple of co-workers to Fresno, where we met a lot of other employees from various stores, and the meeting took place in this rented room, and the woman from corporate had all these toys, markers, and candy in the middle of the table, of each table. The first thing she said was, "Please organize yourselves according to the duration of employment at the company." Well, in this line, we had to introduce ourselves and say how long we had been working and other things. Vasquez saw some of his co-workers didn't like having to speak out on private matters to introduce themselves, you see. But the corporate manager tried to pump it all up. "She spun it so hard I felt dizzy," said Vasquez. "Isn't this wonderful? We have such a wide range of great team members. This really shows what a great place this is to work for, and how you can make a true career here." This is at FedEx Kinko, right? The purpose of the meeting was, her euphemisms aside, to push merchandise and services onto customers, services that the customers themselves did not want. It's called upselling. She wanted us to talk about our positive customer service experiences. Most of us struggled with this, and as nearly all of our experiences with customers and the company had been kind of negative and very stressful. But she was all smiles, no matter what we said. The driving ideology of corporate culture is a blind faith in the power and virtue of the corporate collective. All quotas can be met. All things are possible. Profit can always be raised. It is only a question of the right attitude. The highest form of personal happiness, we are told, is when the corporation thrives. Corporate retreats are built around this idea of merging the self with the corporate collective. They often have the feel of a religious revival. They are designed to whip up emotions. Office managers and sales staffs are given inspirational talks by sports stars, retired military commanders, billionaires, and self-help specialists like Tony Robbins, who tell them, in essence, the impossible is always possible. And when this proves not to be true, it is we who are to blame for the problem. We simply have to try harder. The belief that by thinking about things, by visualizing them, by wanting them, we can make them happen is magical thinking. The purpose, structure, and goals of the corporation can never be questioned. To question, to engage in criticism of the corporate collective is to be obstructive and negative. We can always make more money, meet new quotas, and advance our career if we just have enough faith. This magical thinking is largely responsible for our economic collapse, since any Cassandra who saw it coming was dismissed as negative. This childish belief discredits legitimate concerns and anxieties. It fosters a state of self-delusion, and it has perverted the way we think about the nation and ourselves. Corporate employees, like everyone else, are gripped by personal dilemmas, anxieties, and other troubles. They are not permitted, however, to ask whether the problem is the corporate structure and the corporate state. If they are not happy, there is, they are told, something wrong with them. Real debate, real clashes of opinion are, in the happy world of corporatism, forbidden. They are considered rude. The corporations enforce a relentless optimism that curtails honest appraisal of reality. Positive psychology, which claims to be able to engineer happiness and provides the psychological tools for enforcing corporate conformity, is to the corporate state what eugenics was to the Nazis. Positive psychology is a quack science that throws a smokescreen over corporate domination, abuse, and greed. Those academics who push it are awash in corporate grants. They are invited to corporate retreats to assure corporate employees that they can find happiness by sublimating themselves into the corporate culture. Those who fail to exhibit positive attitudes, no matter the external reality, are seen as maladjusted and in need of assistance. Perhaps, antidepressants, right? Their attitudes need correction. Once we adopt an upbeat vision of reality, positive things will inevitably happen. Their belief encourages us to flee from reality when reality does not elicit positive feelings. These specialists in happiness have formulated something that they call the laws of attraction. It argues that we attract those things in life, whether it is money, relationships, employment, which we focus on. Suddenly, abused, battered wives or children, the unemployed, the depressed and mentally ill, the illiterate, the lonely, those grieving for lost ones, those crushed by poverty and terminally ill, those fighting with addictions, those suffering from trauma, those trapped in menial and poorly paid jobs, and those with homes being foreclosed are to blame for their negativity. The ideology justifies the cruelty of unfettered capitalism, shifting the blame from the power elite to those they oppress. And many of us have internalized this message, which in times of difficulty leads to personal despair, passivity and disillusionment. There's going to be a part 2 to this. The essay is too long, but it just has to be heard.